Welcome inside the Kingsmen corner. Griffin Leonard here with Coach Joe Hudak. We'll hear from pitching coach Nick Osborne later on in the episode. Coach, welcome back. It's been a couple weeks, but glad we can catch up here.
Good to be back with you, Griffin, for sure.
Just kind of catch me up on how things have been going. I know you guys officially have wrapped up the fall schedule. Still, obviously, a lot to be done off the field, but it sounds like you guys had a decent way to wrap up the fall for you.
Yeah, we had a really good fall. We had one game left this past week and got rained out, unfortunately. Really wanted to play. It was actually at Winthrop University where I coached for 19 years, and we were going to play junior college, USC Lancaster, and it would have been a good opportunity for our guys, to get seen by Winthrop's coaches and USC Lancaster. But the Lord had different ideas with the rain, so we weren't able to play. But all in all, had a really good fall. Really had a really good chance to look at our guys, to evaluate where we are, and to figure out what we need to do now that we have, our off season downtime a little bit. We certainly won't stop working, but won't be quite as often as we have in the past, quite as intense, but we'll still be working. But yeah, all in all, Griff, a great fall. Looking forward to the spring, man.
For sure. I'm sure you guys will get a chance to play at Winthrop at some point in the future. Maybe it just wasn't in the cards for this fall.
Yeah, hope to. That'd be great.
Yeah, where do you think is the biggest area of improvement now that the fall is over and you can kind of look back on it? Where has this academy team grown the most over the course from August until now?
That's a tough question because I think we've grown in a lot of areas. I think one of the really cool areas that we've grown that a lot of people don't think of when they think of baseball is we've really grown in strength and speed. And that's a testament to Weston Lawing. He's our strength and conditioning coach. He's done a great job with our guys. And also testament to my son Preston, who's our nutritionist, right? He's our recruiting coordinator, but he's also passionate about nutrition. He's got most of our guys eating healthy, eating clean. And, I think every one of our guys probably on average over the last 2 months has put on probably 6 to 8 pounds. And the cool part of it is it's good weight, right? Not like me. I put on bad weight, right? But the guys are working hard and it's good weight that they're putting on, strength, they're eating right. Most people, when they think of getting stronger, they think of the weight room, right? And that's actually only about 20% of what it takes for you to get stronger. The other 80% is actually in the kitchen. It's what you eat. And Preston likes to tell our guys, that they're Ferraris, right? They're not little Ford Focuses, right? So what the type of fuel that you put in yourself and your body is really important. So I think that's one area that we've really grown a lot in. And you can see the strides that our guys have made. Now, obviously, there's other areas. I think communication is night and day to when we first started running the bases. I think all of our guys have really gotten a lot better, and then, we still have a ways to go. But just really pleased with the fall overall. I think every aspect. There's not one area that I can look at and say, man, we didn't improve in that area. So it's a good fall.
For sure. Yeah, I've talked to Preston a little bit about all the nutrition stuff. I know he's really passionate about it. Maybe both of us will have to hit him up and get on some nutrition plan as well.
Well, he's already got me on one. I'm drinking protein shakes and trying to eat fewer carbohydrates and more protein, and I've lost a good amount of weight. So it's been good for me. He's been good for me, that's for sure. But yeah, it's been really really good for our players.
Okay, yeah, I might have to give it a try.
Yeah, you'll have to when you get out of here. He'll get you on something, that's for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Will that be a an emphasis here going into the winter months? Obviously, you don't have an opportunity to get on the field for games against junior colleges, against some of these teams that you'll be playing in the spring. It'll be a couple months off,
Yeah,
but of course, there's no time truly off. Is strength and conditioning going to be the focus?
absolutely. I think so. We've got 3 weeks left before Thanksgiving. Our guys will be going home for a whole week for Thanksgiving. And then once they get back from that, we'll have 2 weeks left. So we have 5 weeks left, counting this week that we can actually work. And The main focus is going to be strength and conditioning. We've been in a weight room. We've been lifting 3 times a week ever since we got here. But now, while you're playing, you don't want to lift heavily. You're lifting just pretty much to maintain. But now that we're not playing on the field, we're going to spend the next 5 weeks lifting a little heavier. We're going to lift more weight, different types of lifts. We're really trying to gain strength over the next 5 weeks. Once we get back in January and we start playing, we'll go back to a maintenance plan. So, that's one area where we'll really be working hard. The other areas, we've spent the whole fall evaluating, right? Every player, what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What do we need to work on? If it's a hitter, do we need to work on a swing, this part of his swing? With a pitcher, do we need to make some mechanical adjustments? That's where these next 5 weeks are where those changes will happen as well. I'm a big believer, especially with pitchers, that you don't try to make significant changes, mechanical changes while they're pitching and trying to get guys out, right? It's just too hard to do that. But now that we're not playing outside competition, this is really, where we'll really try to focus in on our pitchers. Fact is, we met with each one of them today. Coach Oz and I met with each one of them today, and talked about, hey, what type of throwing program do we need to get on? What type of mechanical changes do we need to make? So we'll be doing that for the next 5 or 6 weeks as well. So, everybody said, this is an off season, right? It's the off season. And it is from playing, but it's also a very, very important part of the season for us as we prepare for a, 40 or 50 game schedule in the spring. It takes a toll on you.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a pretty good challenge for the group. A lot of preparation in the meantime to get ready. You mentioned the week off for Thanksgiving. Do you have any plans? Are you sticking around with the family or going on vacation?
I'm not going on vacation, but I think we are my 3 kids and I, we kind of have a tradition in the fall and over Thanksgiving. We like to try to get away to the mountains for a few days, right? And so I think my daughter Logan she's our travel agent, right? So we let her handle that. So I think she's looking for a place right now. So I think we're looking at probably Wednesday through Saturday, something like that. Maybe going up to the mountains around Boone or West Jefferson, somewhere up in there, and just having a good time, getting away, doing some things up there, and having good family time, playing game night. That'll be a lot of fun. We're pretty competitive, as you know, Griff, and that carries over to game night as well. So I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun, and a lot of laughs. So that's what we're looking at doing. So I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah. What's the family card game of choice?
We don't play cards much. Logan actually and Callie both, they have all kind of games, right? And I couldn't even tell you the names of some of them. I know one of the games we love playing, Callie especially loves playing Clue, right? And there's a relatively new game out, it's called Exploding Kittens, right? So we play that, and I don't know, we play 4 or 5 other ones. It's just a really good family time to get away, and I really look forward to that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Talking about competitiveness, obviously, the guys on the roster, I'm sure, have their competitive gene pretty deeply embedded inside of them. With the lack of games, how do you plan to continue to instill competition with the team in the off season?
I think the biggest thing we tell them, in all of the competition is you're competing against yourself, really, especially this time. This time of the year it's an off season, right? So it's more individual work. You're competing against yourself in the weight room to make sure when you leave the weight room today, you were better than you were when you entered it, right? Same thing whenever, we're working on whether it's hitting, we're going to hit 3 or 4 days this week. Eventually next week we'll get in a long toss throwing program. Just making sure when you leave the field, you're better than you were when you got on it. That's really the mark of a really great player, someone who understands I've got to do the work every day, not just during the season, not just game day, but even more importantly in the off season here. I mean, that's really where I prepare and grow and get ready to compete in the spring. So, it's competition every day. We might have a couple, we're talking about maybe having some type of a Kingsmen Olympics or something like that, maybe before we go home for the holidays and Christmas. where we have a little competition that way. So, we'll do something like that. But outside of that, it's competition every day, really.
Cool. We've talked over the last few episodes as updates come in about the schedule. I know that things aren't 100% finalized, but it sounds like we have a little bit of an update as far as the schedule goes.
Yeah, we do. So actually, as I shared with you and our viewers, we're entering a new league this year. It's the ABA, the Academy Baseball Association. It's a big league. There's going to be a northern and southern division. I think there's probably around 14 or 15 academies that are in it, right? And so we're going to have two teams. Initially our plan was to have one team and play double headers, but now with this new league, they have different levels of competition, and so I think we're gonna have two teams. So that's going to make it a little more interesting for us from a schedule standpoint. We have the schedule for one of the teams. We don't have the schedule for the second team yet. We're waiting on that. Hope to get it actually today or tomorrow. Once we get both of the schedules, then we can work on all of our travel arrangements and things like that. But it's going to be a really good spring. I mean, I think we're probably going to end up. Each of those teams is probably going to end up playing between 35 and 50 games, right? So it's going to be really a competitive spring for us. Both teams are going to be playing really competitive schedules. One of the things now that we're going to have two teams, Preston and I are working on, we actually have to bring in a few more players, right? We don't have quite enough for two teams yet, but especially on the mound. So we are recruiting trying to recruit a few more pitchers, and there's one or two other positions. Maybe we need a player here or there. So we've been working on that as well. So it's a never-ending process, but we're really excited about the new Academy Association. I think it's going to be really good for high school baseball in general, and really good for us. So excited and looking forward to it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about recruiting. When Preston was on the show a while back, we talked about some of the efforts that he had been making to get guys over to Gastonia. Now that your sales pitch, so to speak, has kind of turned into just spring ball, how has that impacted recruiting as far as trying to get guys interested in the academy?
Well, I think it's a whole lot easier right now than it was when we were recruiting before, because now we used to say, hey, we're starting, we're a new academy. We're going to start in August. We haven't started yet, but we're starting on it. Now we're here. We've worked for a whole fall. We have 25 players from 10 different states. Actually, we just added a 26th player yesterday, a local kid here in Gastonia, an outfielder. We needed a couple of outfielders for both teams. So it's easier now because now we can say, hey, we're already here, we're working. You can see our stadium, you can see where we practice, you can see our indoor facility. Here's our schedule for the spring. We're going to the Dominican January 29th through February 5th. We're playing all these games in our conference, in our league. We're going to Houston, Texas for a 4-game series out there with a really good academy. We've got a championship, a league championship from May 11th through the 15th. So it's just easier now, right? Because it used to be, hey, we're telling them, hey, this is what we're gonna do, right? But now this is what we're doing. And I think once that happened, it makes us a lot more attractive, I think, to some kids. So yeah, we're still going to work. Preston's working hard on the social media, man. That's where he gets a lot of his recruiting contacts with. And I think we've had 4 Zoom calls in the last week, trying to find, we need a catcher or two. We need some pitchers. So yeah, working hard on that. And it's going to be a never-ending process. There's never going to be a time, where we're going to just be able to sit back, because now, after the first of the year, we're going to start recruiting for next fall. So it's just going to be a never-ending process, which is how that's the way recruiting is, man.
Of course. And I know that, yeah, there's no time to sit back, but do you kind of have like I guess a target number of where you want to be in the spring as far as roster numbers go? I know you're trying to field two teams. 26, obviously pretty difficult to do so. Do you have a target number of where you want to get to by January?
Well, one of the things about the league that it is really cool and helps us a lot, and everyone is trying to have two teams, is they allow you to have 5 floaters, that can play with each team. They can play with both teams, right? And so, if we have 26 guys right now, let's say we divided it right down the middle and have 13 and 13. well, we have five floaters, so each team really has 18 guys, right? So that's a little easier to work. But I'd say what we're really looking for, probably we'd like to get to around 30 or 32. Uh, Primarily pitchers, right? I think we only need probably two or three more position players, but we need three or four more pitchers, to really feel comfortable with both teams. So yeah, I think we're looking at maybe a goal would probably be 32.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll have to next time we talk, you'll have to give me another update and we can see how that's going.
Yeah, hopefully we have three or four more guys next time we talk. But yeah, we're working hard, and Preston's done just a phenomenal job of recruiting. I don't think we'd even be in existence without him. So it's been a blessing to have him back for sure.
Of course. Well, Coach, thanks for joining us. Looking forward to the next time we can get on here and chat. Hopefully, the next time we talk, we've had a decent amount of the off season go by, and we'll be able to feel the spring schedule right around the corner.
That sounds good, man. I know our players are really excited. We're excited about actually getting on the field and playing in the league and playing other competition, and showing what we're made of. So I'm excited. I know they are as well. So appreciate it, Griff.
Of course. We will step aside here. When we get back, we will talk to Kingsman Baseball Academy pitching coach Nick Osborne. We'll be right back here on the Kingsman Corner. It's never too early to be thinking about the summer. If you or someone you know is interested in combining a high level collegiate summer baseball experience with the opportunity to learn and grow in your relationship with Jesus Christ, then we hope that you consider Kingsman Baseball. Headed by former Winthrop head coach Joe Hudak, you'll receive elite level instruction while having the opportunity to grow spiritually with your teammates. While Kingsman Baseball doesn't require its players to be Christian, you'll learn what it truly means to be a Christian and how you can apply it to your life after baseball. This summer, in addition to a domestic schedule around the Charlotte metro area, the team will be taking a tournament trip out to British Columbia and Canada, in addition to its annual Dominican Republic summer mission trip. We hope that you consider Kingsman Baseball. For more information, please visit kingsmanbaseball.org, and we look forward to hearing from you. Welcome back to the Kingsman Corner here with assistant pitching coach Nick Osborne. Oz, good to hear from you. How have things been?
Good, Griff. Nice seeing you again.
Glad to hear that things are going well. It sounds like the team had a pretty good wrap up of the fall from what I was talking with Coach Hudak.
Yeah, we had a really good wrap up of the fall. Got to play a couple games at Caramount Health Park, which is really nice. Got to play at home. Got the chance to play at USC Sumter. Got to see some of the boys that played on our summer team, so that's always nice to do. And then yeah, the boys played well at the end of the year. Finally, got a feel of who's going to be where and what order they'll be in, and got a good feel for what our pitchers do well, what they don't do well, and all that stuff.
For sure. Yeah, I've got to ask you about your pitchers every time you're on here. Just kind of walk me through what you've seen in terms of development out of them, velocity going up, control going up. What have you kind of seen?
Right now, we're not really worried about their velocity going up at all. Really, right now, with the fall and what I talked about earlier is the fall for us is just for them to show us what they have as a pitcher, who they are. We don't make any changes, and actually now we're getting into that phase of the year where we're going to start with a lot of our guys making those mechanical changes that need to be made. Right now, what we're seeing is guys learning how to pitch. That's different for every guy. For some guys, that means commanding the zone a lot better. And the guys that need to do that, we've seen improve in doing that. For some guys, it's learning it's learning a new pitch. And the guys that have done that have excelled very well. For some guys, it's putting on a little bit of velocity, and the guys that needed to do that have done that very well. So it's different for everybody and what they actually need to do. But for the most part, what we're looking for is seeing them learn how to pitch.
Of course, when it's interesting that you word it that way, learning how to pitch. Like a lot of these guys have probably been pitching for, 8, 9, 10 years. You ask them, they're probably, yeah, I know what I'm doing. But how have you guys been able to take what they had, learned from previous coaches? Because all these guys are coming in from different
Mhm.
places. How
Yeah.
are you able to kind of streamline that into what you and Coach Hudak want to teach to the pitchers?
So with everything we get is you get to me you got two types of pitchers. You got guys that know actually how to pitch, and you got guys that know how to throw. And the guys that know how to throw are your typical guys that go out there, throw as hard as they can, and do nothing else but besides that. Um, and for us, and that's a lot of what the I guess the new age of pitching is trying to throw hard. And granted, to get to the next level, that's today's game. That's what you have to do. Um, but really, what and teaching that and getting them lined up with us, it's a lot of okay, what have you learned? What do you do here? Because not everybody pitches the same. Not everybody's mechanics are always ever actually the same. So what we're trying to do is see, all right, what have you been taught? What do you know how to do? And then all we're doing is seeing, all right, where can we add or make changes to that? Because we never want to take a guy out and we never want to change kind of the type of pitcher he is most of the time because that's hard to do. Because not only if you get a guy that you change the type of pitcher they are, you're not only making a physical change, but now mentally you got to change the type of pitcher you are. And that's a hard adjustment for somebody to make, especially a young high schooler. So we want to know what type of pitcher they are, and then we can build off of that.
Sounds like from what Coach Hudak was saying earlier in the show, you guys had a pretty good film session today. Walk me through what that looked like.
Yeah, just getting guys, different videos that we get from different angles throughout the fall of them actually pitching. Some are, in inter squad games. Some of them are in actual live games. And really, you just take each video and you just watch it over and over and over again in slow motion, and you just really break down each part of their body and their mechanics um, piece by piece. And you're just trying to look for anything that looks off, looks weird, doesn't, just doesn't look right, and maybe needs changed. And that's different with every guy. Some guys, like to do what we call swing the gate, and we'll look for that, and that's more of in their legs. Some guys don't get, have a tendency not to get their front elbow up or whatever it is. You're always looking at that on video.
Of course. Now, kind of walk me through it a little bit further, as if there. I'm sure there's some people listening that maybe didn't pitch, didn't play baseball, at least don't know the game to the level that you as a coach would know pitching. When you have guys like you said earlier that all come in with different mechanics, they don't pitch the exact same way. You pitched yourself one specific way. When you're watching all these videos of guys with their different mechanics, how do you and Coach Hudak decipher what is right and wrong versus just, their style of pitching?
Yeah. Well, you look at how there's some things not now when I say not everybody pitches the same, it means not everybody's body is the same and moves the same. But there are things that everybody needs to do throughout their pitching motion. So that's the one thing that we stress to our guys is, hey, not everybody's pitching the same, and we're not going to make clones, but there are some things you need to do specifically. And that's something that we really stress. And then another thing with them really is understanding, all right, you know, some guys like me as a pitcher, it's called tall and fall. And what I would do is on the mound, I get to my balance point, get really tall, and then I just kind of fall down the mound. That's how I create my velocity. And really get my command is just getting tall and falling straight down. Some guys are a dip and drive. Like everybody's different in how they get their power, how they rotate, how everybody gets down the mound. But what we want to see is how different parts of their body, how that one mechanical flaw that looks, or it may not even be necessarily at first a mechanical flaw, but something that looks weird or awkward, how that is affecting the rest of their body. If they do something that's a little awkward, or maybe I should say unorthodox, but it's not affecting them at all, or very seriously, I mean, a lot of times I think that results in overcoaching, and you don't want to do that. So at that point, if it's not, affecting them really at all, then we won't make a change on that. But if we see something that looks awkward and might be affecting them, then that's when we'll get on and make a change. And, really just try to really for them, really making a change in pitching. It's all just a feel. It's all feel.
So now that we're into the winter months, games are done, you're getting more into that strength of development, individual development. I guess, how do you approach that guy to guy? Of course, there's so many guys on your roster. I know that Coach Preston and Coach Joe Hudak are both actively recruiting and trying to bring more guys in. How do you approach individual coaching while managing the entire roster?
So really, what you do is, so what we started out, we actually did that today. Is me and Coach Hudak sit down with every pitcher, and one, you get a gauge after the fall of just how their arms feeling. It could be tired, it could be sore, it could be overworked, whatever it is. It could be great. Whatever it is, we tell them to be honest with us, and then we really get a feel for how much have you actually thrown throughout the year with us and with when you're not with us. So throughout the summer, last high school season, and really what we want to know is last time that you had a break from throwing, because everybody needs it throughout the year. You just need a break from throwing. So we try to gauge. Usually we give our guys at least try to give them 2 weeks off from throwing. Some guys need more. Some guys may not need that much time. Like we haven't played it. We didn't play it all last week. We're not obviously playing it all this week. So our pitchers actually have had last week off from throwing and this week off from throwing. So that'll be 2 weeks for most of them. So a lot of them will start next week back again on their actual throwing program. But we got a couple guys that, haven't had a break since last February or December. And, for those guys, we'll give them an extra week of, keeping the throwing either real light or still not just picking up a baseball. In today's game, Griff, I think a lot of time it's why guys are getting hurt so much pitching. It's overuse. It's overuse of the arm, and nobody takes a break anymore. And I think that's a big thing that we're trying to stress to our guys is at some point you just need a break.
Of course. There are a couple of breaks coming, both for the team and then just in general. Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up. I asked Coach the same question that I'll ask to you is, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Are you going home? Are you hopping in on the Hudak Thanksgiving? What are you doing?
Now I'm heading back up north. I'll be going home for Thanksgiving. I'll be getting out of here as soon as we're done with lifting on that Friday the week before. I'll be getting out of here. But going back up home, I'll see my family. Get back down here. That's Sunday. Probably go to church back home that morning. Get down here, and then we got 2 weeks with those guys, and then I'll probably be down here. I don't know. I'll probably be down here late into December.
I gotcha. Well, it should be a fun couple months, a well-deserved break for you guys, at least from being on the field after a tough fall, and it sounds like a pretty grueling spring schedule, but in a good way coming up. So make sure to take your rest while you can have it.
Oh, you know me. I'll fit a nap in whenever I can, Griff. I'll fit a nap in whenever I can.
Hey, as you should. Well, anyway, thanks for joining us, Oz.
Thanks for having me, Griff.
All right, that was Coach Nick Osborne. That will do it for today's episode of the Kingsman Corner for Coach Oz and Joe Hudak. I'm Griffin Leonard. We'll see you next time. Going to take a little bit off, and we'll hit you back with some more off-season coverage here on the Kingsman Corner.